Hello, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Tell Us What You Made. That's right, this video series has a name now. Tell Us What You Made. The show where each of us has made a dish with a common ingredient or theme, then we get together, compare notes, and see if we learn anything. In this video, Inga, Rie, and I have all made different dishes using coffee. Hey everybody.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi.
Okay, Rie, you are first. Tell us what you made.
I made coffee jelly.
Ooh.
This is something I didn't know. It was kind of unfamiliar food for American people. But in Japan, if you go to convenience store or grocery store, you can easily find a pre-made one. Right, so I make my morning coffee with Chemex. I made, extra so I can make coffee jelly.
I use a Chemex every morning too.
Oh yeah? Chemex is great. It makes very nice coffee. So anyway, so I measured black coffee. I put gelatin powder in a bowl, pour over water so it's bloom. And you have to do these steps, otherwise your jelly won't set. So you have to make sure pour water, and the water has to be cold. Bloom the gelatin and set aside around 5 minutes. And when it is kind of set.
Wait, we had a question. Do you feel like there's a difference if we use gelatin or agar-agar?
Oh yeah, it's very different. Texture-wise, agar-agar is more brittle. I think it's a little bit hard, but gelatin is more soft and bouncy. It's a good word.
So probably use gelatin?
Yeah, I prefer gelatin. But so it's animal products. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, agar-agar is fine. And
cool.
I put coffee in a small pot and heat it up. Now I added 1 tablespoon of sugar for flavoring. When I drink coffee, I don't add any sugar. But for coffee jelly, if you don't add sugar, I feel like you taste more bitterness. So you want to make it a little bit sweeter. Also because this is more like a dessert, and I put 1 tablespoon of sugar. But when I tasted, it was still not sweet enough. So when I'm making again, I would like to add maybe a little bit more sugar. Adding bloomed gelatin, because you have to activate and you have to melt kind of set gelatin. Once it is hot, before it's simmering, you keep stirring because you add sugar. So if you don't stir, it will burn on the bottom.
Look at that tiny spatula. Sorry, I wanted to comment on that tiny spatula.
Tiny spatula is so useful, so I highly recommend if you don't have one.
I want to say tiny everything, tiny whisk.
I was just going to
is
say,
one of my favorite things.
Do you have a tiny whisk?
Yeah. It's like a tiny little thing. You can whisk it in mugs or in a little saucepan. It's great.
Yeah.
I think most utensils are too big.
I have to buy tiny whisk because I don't have tiny whisk. So what I use is a whisk attachment of the hand blender.
Oh my God.
But it's useful. It's almost like tiny whisk. Right before it's boil, you take off from the heat, and I put mesh sieve because I don't want to get any unmelted gelatin bits in my coffee jelly, and put it in a glass container. Any container works, but I wanted to use kind of clear container so you can see, texture and stuff.
Oh, are you serving it just in the cup?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know why. I was thinking chopped up, sometimes I know they serve it in squares.
So how I made it is super soft texture. I don't think I can cut in a square because it's too soft. And you're going to put it in a refrigerator and chill, preferably overnight.
Okay.
Until it's set.
So you're going to eat this as a dessert?
Yeah. So yeah,
Like at nighttime?
I ate afternoon. I think if you eat it at night, you cannot sleep.
Yeah, I was going to say. Look at that jiggle. That is nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
And
Ooh,
I add
the cream pour.
Cream, yeah.
when you go buy coffee jelly, it usually comes with half and half. So you pour half and half, and kind of like mix it and eat it. It's like very delicious. Or you can add ice cream, like I did, or whipped cream. So, you know, like summertime you can put vanilla ice cream. It's almost like avocado. If you're eating with ice cream, it's like sweeter side, so you can you can use less sugar. But if you're just using half and half, I highly recommend to use more than 1 tablespoon. So maybe like taste it before you put it in a container.
That looks great. Afternoon desserts are the best desserts, in my opinion.
I like eating dessert afternoon, and in Japanese we have 3 p.m. is snack time. We call it oyatsu no jikan. So I like my snack time around like 3 p.m.
Okay, up next is Inga's recipe.
So I made a savory dish with coffee. I made coffee spare ribs. I don't know if you guys have heard about it before.
I've seen like it's like dry rub.
I think that's also a style, but this one I made is like more like a coating, a sauce coating, and it's actually a very popular dish from Singapore. So I started off by buying some spare ribs from Chinatown. I should not have made all of them, but I did. This is just marinating it. Started off with a couple of sauces like oyster sauce, and I also do not remember what I put it. What is that? Sesame oil, maybe? Or was that syrup? Oh my gosh. I think it was oil. Yeah, it's either syrup or oil. And then there's salt and sugar. Oh, and then this was just different types of starch. So I think I put both potato starch and corn starch. I think like this is like a very common thing to do in just like Chinese cuisine. We like to coat our meat with starch. It adds to the texture, and also because we're gonna be deep frying this later, so that's also why. Then water, because there's a lot of starch. It's almost like a slurry situation, I guess. And then adding in an egg. I think this helps with the what's the word in English? It's like the flaky, slightly flaky, crispy texture for eventually that you want it. I think that also helps, adding an egg. So that's why we do it. And then it's just really going in and mixing it together.
I love this glove attack scene we're watching here.
I'm like really glad that Adam did not include the sound because it was very loud, but gave it a good little massage. All right, after a good massage, I just wrapped it in cling film and popped it in the fridge and let it marinate overnight. Day 2 is when I deep fried them. I don't usually deep fry stuff at home, but I like this pan a lot. It makes things
it's
a lot
nice
easier.
pot.
Right? Yeah.
Did you buy it just for frying?
No, actually, a friend gave it to me. So
What?
I know.
I want your friend as my friend.
All right, I'll introduce you, Ria.
Yeah.
So this is what I used for the sauce, the coffee-based sauce that we're eventually going to coat it in. I used 2 types of coffee, if you can call it that. One is instant coffee, which is, I think, generally when you're making this recipe, people just use instant coffee, but I found this one recipe that actually used coffee liquor. They used, I think the one they used was like Kahlua, which is the more commonly known coffee liquor. But then I went to the liquor store and I found this one and it just looked so nice and it was handcrafted in France. So I was like, okay, I feel like I should try and maybe drink a little. It's instant coffee and then black sugar instead of, I think, just like normal sugar or brown sugar because I like that like molasses, you know, like caramel flavor.
Cinnamon?
Ginger and garlic. No cinnamon, actually, but that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. And then, Worcestershire sauce. That's what I also added in. And I think I actually added in too much Worcestershire sauce because you know how it's like tangy? I think it was a little too tangy. But then I put soy sauce as well. So sweet and savory is basically what we're going for here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then just some water because it was like pretty thick. And then I think that's it, right? Oh, coffee liquor, of course.
Did you taste it on the side?
I did not actually. I still haven't tasted it. Should I taste it right now? Is that like...
Taste it
Yeah.
right now.
Okay, wait, hold on, Adam. I have it right here with me. Is it too much if
I just heard the cork pop.
Well, good
right.
thing it's 2 p.m. in New York, right?
Yeah, and I just had a meal. Hold on, all right, I'm gonna give a sip.
Be careful.
Just a teaspoon.
Oh, it's really nice. It's like, sweet.
Is it like alcoholic?
Yeah, it's like alcoholic, but it's like it tastes like very sweet coffee, which is very scary because it's 22% ABV.
Oh.
Let's continue. All right, so I think after I added in the alcohol, just mixed it up together, and that's my sauce. Pulled the spare ribs back out. I actually pulled this out a little earlier because I wanted it to not be like super cold when I deep fried it. So what I'm doing here is actually just like grabbing a little bit of the slurry or like that marinade and just like...
You're testing the temp?
Yes. It looks kind of weird on the video, but that's what I was doing. Yes, Andrew, nice catch. To see if it bubbles, and it was. So then I was ready to start frying everything up. It's a big spare rib.
Ooh.
It actually didn't take that long too.
So you're just like frying up until golden brown?
Look at that little rack. That is great.
I know, right? The rack makes things so much easier. I was so happy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that.
What?
It's a little intermediate stage
Yes.
between... Because
Right?
when you initially pull it out, it's gonna like drip a lot for a moment, and then it'll
Yes.
drip
Yeah,
less.
yeah, yeah.
That is so good. Wow.
Yeah.
I love
I know.
that.
We are all
Alright,
buying this.
Everybody get this right now. Then putting it on a rack, just letting it dry out a little bit. I started cooking up the sauce.
It's the same
and
pot.
It's the same pot, yeah. But then you see I swapped it because I burned the sauce the first time. No, you guys, because it's so dark. It was so, like, the sauce, the wok is so dark that, like, I think
Yeah.
it was hard for me to, because the sauce, when it bubbles up and then it just becomes really sticky, and like, I stepped away for a second, and when I tried it, it was so bitter. Oh my God, I had to, like, stop. So, yeah, I redid the sauce.
So were you just reducing it a little bit?
Yeah, so the sauce, you can see like when we're first pouring it in, it's like still kind of watery, like liquidy. You know, if you just like put like soy sauce and sugar, for example, it just starts becoming sticky, right? So that's essentially what's going to happen. You want the sauce to coat the ribs really well. Also, because I swapped pans, I had to chop up the ribs. Really clings to it, which is very exciting. And then there you go.
Wow.
Look at that color. Isn't that
Oh my God.
right? It's
I'm so mad.
Looks so good.
Looks so good.
Nice color.
Oh,
yeah. And then I did like a
chilies
little,
on top.
yes, a little sprinkle of chili, cilantro, a little bit of scallion, you know. I'm just having fun.
Sorry, I'm choking on my own saliva over here.
Oh, and then finish it off with a little bit of sesame seeds, just for look, and then a little more cilantro to put it in, you know.
How is the flavor of the glaze at the end? Do you notice the coffee?
Okay, so I didn't notice the coffee notes as much as I noticed just like that bitter sweetness, you know, when it's like, it's not just sweet, but it has like a little bit of bitterness to it that I actually really liked, because it's not just like overwhelmingly sweet or savory. And then it's almost like, is it like, you know, like fried chicken when you have like coated sauce around it? It's that kind of texture, so like it leaves your finger kind of sticky. I totally ate this with my hands, by the way. I know I picked it up with chopsticks. I did not eat it with chopsticks. I ate it with my hands. I don't think people can see it, but so I ate it with this with rice, and I was doing a bite shot for Adam, and I actually dropped the first rib. No, gosh, on the floor. Which I picked up and I washed and I ate it. I promise. I did not waste a rib. It was a giant rib.
That looks great. Okay, and finally, there's my recipe.
Yes, we're ready. What did you
Okay.
make, Andrew?
I made tiramisu.
Oh,
yeah.
Classic.
Classic
All right.
coffee dessert. So here's the first thing you need to know about this recipe. Actually, there's a couple different things. The first is,
Okay.
this is my first time making it.
Oh, really?
The second is that my favorite tiramisu is the one that my partner makes, and she's very good at it. And so I made a lazy version of tiramisu. And it's a recipe I got from Mary Berry. You know Mary Berry from Great British Baking Show and other baking fame. And so the distinction between this recipe and more classic tiramisus is that there's no egg in this recipe. Usually you'd do the thing where you're whisking it over a double boil to, forget what the term is for that type of...
Pot bomb.
Yeah. So instead, this is just mascarpone and cream. And so you don't have to use any heat in this entire recipe, which
that
appealed to
what
me
makes it
because
lazy?
Yeah, very lazy. Also, I'm saying mascarpone because that's how Mary Berry would say it. So mascarpone, I was like, what is this stuff anyway? It turns out it's essentially cream cheese, guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are so many dairy things that go by different names but are essentially the same thing but with different amounts of fat or, like slightly different processes. Like creme fraiche,
Oh, yeah, that's
sour
true.
cream,
Yeah.
mascarpone.
I feel like mascarpone though, it's like less intense and softer than cream cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it does have more fat, and you're right, it definitely has less of that like cream cheese tang. So here I am loading some mascarpone into a mixer, and next I'm going to add some cream to it, and I quickly realized that my mixer, that this volume of ingredients was not enough for the mixer, and basically nothing happened. So I was like, damn it.
I feel like
is so
we've all been there.
annoying.
We've all been there for sure.
I was like, here I go trying to make a lazy recipe, and I've already made it harder than if I had just
my
gone
gosh.
with the classic one. So here I am mixing by hand in the bowl of the hand mixer like an idiot. But you know what I said? I said, this is not a mistake. Actually, the stand mixer base is the perfect thing to anchor a bowl if you're hand mixing anyway. So it's actually my recommended way of hand mixing something. Do it in your stand mixer.
You also have a tiny spatula too.
I do have a tiny spatula, yeah. That orange one, I love it. It comes together very quickly, actually. And I realized also that you probably didn't need the power of the stand mixer anyway. You can see there I'm just tossing the whisk aside in kind of disdain for the whole situation. So then it's just, there's a little bit of powdered sugar and a little bit of vanilla extract. I actually reduced the amount of powdered sugar because the ladyfingers I was using have a little coating of sugar, the ones that I found, and I'm not sure if that's standard. So I was like, there's a little more sugar here. I like my desserts less sweet anyway, so I'm just gonna reduce the amount of sugar in my cream portion just by like 30% or something. So here I have a little cake tin which I poured my coffee into. Since it's one of the predominant flavors in this little dessert, I wanted to get something that tasted nice. So I got espresso from a local place, and to it I added some brandy. And then I also was putting the brandy away, and I noticed the Grand Marnier sitting there, which, if you don't know, is an orange liqueur. And I was like, ooh, you know what one of my favorite drinks is? Coffee drinks. I don't know how common this is, but at this particular coffee shop, it's called a Seville coffee or something, or a Sevilla. And it's candied orange in a mocha. So it's like that chocolate orange plus coffee flavor. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna add a little orange liqueur to my coffee mix as well and see if that comes through.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
So here are my finger cookies, my
Lady
lady
fingers?
fingers. Yeah. By the way, lady fingers, great little biscuit. I don't know why I don't eat these things just on their own more often.
Isn't it a little bit too dry though?
It's pretty dry, but I kind of like that. It tastes like stale shoe pastry to me.
I was gonna say.
It's perfect with a cup of tea or like when you're not actually looking to really enjoy a dessert, but just want like a little biscuit on the side or something. So then, you soak it for just a couple of seconds. They really, because they are so stale, they really suck in the liquid. And then here I am just putting a base layer down in this little dish. It's my dog dish.
Oh, I like that plate.
And then,
It perfectly fits.
Yeah.
and then you just put a layer of the cream down, smear it out even.
A tiny spatula.
You also put a little dusting of chocolate. I grated some of this dark baking chocolate onto.
Ooh.
That's also your snacking chocolate.
That's also my snacking chocolate.
Wait, what percentage cacao is it?
I think it was 76 or 74.
Ooh, nice.
So I'm just microplaning a little dusting of chocolate. The chocolate tends to stick to the back of the microplane, so knocking it off with, the back of a knife.
Wait, I also want to say I like how you do this instead of using just cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Was it also from Mary Berry?
Yeah, she says great chocolate. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
And then, of course, you get to the end of the little wafer of chocolate and you have that nub, so then you just eat it.
Perfect.
Because you can't grate all the way down to the bottom, so you end up eating like a couple wafers worth of chocolate. Not that I wasn't also shoving chocolate wafers into my mouth the whole time. And then yeah, it's just another layer of the cream, clean up the edge, and then you put it in the fridge to set for a few hours, or in my case, it was overnight.
Nice.
And then when you go to serve it, another dusting of the cocoa, and then you scoop it out.
I'm ready for the scoop. I'm ready. Ooh, look at that.
How was it?
It was totally good. It's definitely not as good as if you go through the real process of setting your egg. But man, for effort to flavor ratio, this is a knockout dish.
Oh.
And also, like, making it the real way is not that hard either. But I wanted to try this out.
And it looks really good.
So there you have it, our coffee episode. We had Rie's coffee jelly, Inka's spare ribs, and my tiramisu. If you enjoyed this episode, we're going to be making more videos in this series, so maybe you'd consider subscribing. Or if you want to tell us how you use coffee, please comment below or send us a photo over at our Instagram About to Eat. Otherwise, bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Or forever.
Forever?
Choose to never... Yeah, if you're not going to subscribe, bye forever.
Wow, that's aggressive.
Yeah, it's cool either way. Okay, bye Rie, bye Inka.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye Phantom, Adam, and Liza.